Every single person in this world has a story to share. Your story is your superpower, and it's unique to you. In sharing it with the world, you can impact millions of people. If you keep it to yourself, you are doing the world a disservice. This is Dela. I'm the host of Dela's Voice, and I help you share your superpower with the world.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another Dela's Voice Sunday live talk show. What a blessing to be here with you again on another show, bringing you more information, more inspiration, and more motivation, really bringing you more awareness. The topic today is one that I hold really close to my heart. If you've been watching me, I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I've had my own experience with mental health, and I've had a loved family member who's also had his own experience with mental health challenges. So I know how difficult it is to be in that space of not knowing, hopelessness, despair, not having anyone to talk to, not having the support. I know what I'm talking about when I talk about dark moments of not wanting to move on and not wanting to get out of bed. I know what I'm talking about when I talk about caregiver burnout. And through all of this, I've learned that when we share our stories with other people, we get not only to heal ourselves, but also help others open up. And something happens when we all share together. We become more hopeful, but hope, that's such a strong word. Hope is everything. So today, I have a young lady here who is going to talk about her journey of darkness to discovery to hope. Her name is Zoey Raffi. Zoey is a 20-year-old who's been published in a book, and I'm going to bring up the name of the book because I want to make sure I say it right so you can actually buy it. So she was one of the 40 published authors in a book called Brainstorm Revolution, True Mental Health Stories of Love, Personal Evolution, and Cultural Revolution. Zoey also has been published in Vocal Media for a goodbye letter to her eating disorder. And later in the show, I'm going to ask permission to read that letter because it is absolutely inspirational. So we have Zoey here with us today. Before she accepted my invitation, she asked me to please let the audience know that due to some discussion, this might be a trigger for some people. So we are absolutely giving you this viewer's discretion. So I hope you stay with us, and I hope you share this talk with other people. Statistics are staggering, and I don't need to tell you because I get emotional. 1 out of every 4 will suffer from mental health. So it is up to all of us to bring awareness and open up the discussion. Whew, it was not supposed to happen this way. Here we go. I'm going to bring on Zoey. Let's give her all the love because she is a brave young woman. Zoey Raffi, welcome on Dela's Voice, my dear. Can you hear me, Zoey?
Yeah.
We have a little bit of internet connection problem, Zoey. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Welcome on Dela's Voice, Zoey. Zoey, you may have to leave and come back. So I'm going to ask Zoey to leave the broadcast and come back. Zoey, yeah, so this connection is not working. So can you leave the broadcast and come back? Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry. We've had a connection problem all morning. So hopefully Zoey can jump on a different internet and come back. So I want to thank you for being here today. This is a very important talk. And so I was looking at the Canadian Mental Health website on some statistics. And this statistics was back in 2013. And so they're suggesting 1 out of every 5 people being affected by mental health. And today I know that number has gone up to 1 in 4. And it is estimated that 10 to 20% of Canadian youth are affected by a mental health, by a mental illness or disorder. Today, approximately 5% of male youth and 12% of female youth age 12 to 19 have experienced a major depressive episode. If we don't talk about this, if we are not aware of this, it's like that ostrich's head in the sand. It's still happening, people. It's happening around us. But the more we're aware, the more we can catch it earlier, the more we can help everybody around us. And so that is what I'm hoping will happen as a result of shows like this. And so Zoey's story is only one of millions. And the reason she was brought to my attention was that I don't know if you remember, a few weeks ago, I had an interview with Natalie Harris, and she told us about Zoey. And so there are so many other people like Zoey who may not be brave enough to tell their story. And so it is up to all of us to provide that platform for the young people to be able to be here, to have a safe space to share their story so that they can help inspire others, bring awareness. And that is exactly the point of something like this. So I've got Zoey here. I don't know if her internet is working. So let me see. Hi, Zoey. This may not work. So I'm going to say hello to some of the people who are watching us. I hope that you're having a great Sunday. Babak, hello. Sarah, Frida, Natalie. There you go. Natalie Harris is here too. Happy to be watching today. Hugs. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks for this connection. Ellie is here. Ellie Rafi, she says, love you, kiddo. That's to Zoe. Bobak says, welcome to the show, Zoe. Sarah says, no problem. We are waiting. Thank you for your patience. It's important to have hope, Sarah says, but it shouldn't be forgotten that more important than that is trying to make things better. Yes, absolutely. Taking actions. And that's exactly what Zoe did. Zoe, can you hear me? Zoe? So it's not working, Zoe. I wonder if you can. Oh, I'm patient. Yes, we're waiting for Zoe. I see the comments, the love. Yes. Zoe, maybe, actually, I don't know if she can hear me, Natalie. That's what I thought too. Maybe if she can just turn off her video, that might work. So we can just have a phone or just a conversation without video. That might work. Oh, she's back on. Hold on. She is trying, you guys. She's trying her best. I know this is frustrating, Zoe. This is just one of those things in life, right? Okay, here we go. Let me remove this one. Hi, Zoe. Zoe, if you can hear me, I'm going to ask you to turn off your camera and just use your mic, because that might require less bandwidth. Can you hear me, Zoe? Yes, I see that. Yeah, it might work just with sound better. If this doesn't work, Zoe, I'm going to call you on my phone, and then we can have a conversation so we can hear you. Okay? So I'm going to do that, actually. Let's see if she'll answer me on my phone. Let's see. Well, it is what it is. It's internet, right? It's yes. So hopefully she'll answer me. I'm trying to call Zoe. We really want to have this conversation today. And sometimes these things happen, but we cannot give up. It is just the universe telling us you need to try harder. Okay, so Natalie, if you can reach Zoe on her phone, because it says it's calling, but it's not really answering. So I'm going to give you some of the statistics from the Canadian Mental Health Association. Not that, it's just reinforcement. So, oh, there's Zoe. Hang on, let's see. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is how we're going to do this, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so people who are on the call, can you hear Zoe clearly? If you can just drop me a line that, okay, just so you know, Zoe, there's a lot of love here for you in the comments, okay? So if you can let us know that you can hear Zoe fine, perfect. Okay, they can hear us. Yay, Zoe!
Thank you so much for figuring this out.
No problem. Well, you
I
know
was getting
what?
really upset because I was looking forward to it, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work.
This is fine. You know what? It happens, right? It's internet. So we just work with what we have. Everybody would love to hear your story. And that's all that matters, Zoe. It's just to bring out your story, okay?
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Perfect. They can hear you loud and clear. And so let's start. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Zoey Raffi on Dela's Voice. I'm so happy to have you here, Zoey. I know I was looking forward to having you here. I know you were looking forward to being here. Amazing. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I feel very honored.
No problem. No problem. Okay, so Zoey, let's take you back. You heard me when I was talking about some of the statistics given by Canadian Mental Health Association about mental illnesses and how it affects Canadians. And so I want to ask you, what's your take on this?
Well, I honestly think everyone struggles with mental illness at some point in their lives, and that there's no really statistic, because I think at some point, like, someone battles with depression, someone battles with anxiety. So, like, I feel like statistics shouldn't be there because everyone has some sort of mental illness.
Well, that you'd be right. So right now, post-COVID, for the past year, people have been, shocked because they've had to change their lifestyle. They've had to make so many changes. What do you think happened as a result of COVID to our mental health?
I think COVID has had a major impact, especially at the hospitals. Like keeping people isolated in their house and stay-at-home order and all this other stuff, taking away like people's rights almost isn't right. And like closing the small stores, I don't think that's right either, because they need to make an income, and if they don't have an income, they lose their business, which impacts their mental health. So I really don't think that we should be closing any of the small stores or anything, because it is impacting like mental health big time.
Oh, you're a young woman with a very powerful stance on this. Thank you for speaking up on this. Zoey, let's go back to your story and tell us a little bit about how you grew up.
Well, I grew up with 3 siblings and 2 parents. I grew up in Warminster, and it was a little area, but in grade 7, 8, when I moved to Warminster Elementary School, I switched schools from Notre Dame, I started getting bullied, and my nickname was Baby Hippo. And it was because I weighed 130 pounds. And they're like, oh, my mom weighs as much as you do, and blah, 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 blah. So my nickname is Baby Hippo, and now I weigh 180 pounds, and I am happy with that. Like, so them bullying me has stemmed to the eating disorder a lot. And what happened with the eating disorder was I wasn't eating, I was just exercising, and whatever I did eat, I would throw up until there was bile. And I was sleeping all the time. I had no energy. I was constantly drinking energy drinks. So in 2018, I believe it was, I almost got hospitalized for my eating disorder because I was 110 pounds and my beats per minute was 110.
Zoey, how old were you when you first started feeling like that?
14.
And so when you were 14, did you notice that there were other kids, other girls or other boys that were also showing the same things as you did? Or maybe they, did you feel like you were the only one, or did you feel like others felt like that too?
Honestly, for a very, very, very long time, I felt like I was the only one. I felt like nobody else struggled with mental health. I felt like nobody understood. My parents didn't understand. Like, nobody understood. But there was this one teacher at the school who I had opened up to. Her name is Miss Bolger. And she is wonderful. She's like my second mother. And I could talk to her about anything. And she really opened up my eyes to show me that I wasn't alone, that there was other people who struggle with mental health.
Isn't that amazing? What did that do for you when you found out that you weren't the only one?
I'd say it would have helped me recover a little bit, knowing that I wasn't the only one, and that like I could be open about it and talk about it and now looking back at how I was with thinking I was the only one struggling with it, I want to get my voice out there to help people who are in that spot, who think that they are the only ones, but I want them to know that they're not, and that there is hope.
Thank you, Zoe. I know, you wrote this letter called Dear Ed, and I asked you for permission to read it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to pull it up and actually read it for everybody. Dear Ed, this is going to be hard to say, but I think it's time we part ways. You have been by my side ever since grade school, when my nickname was Baby Hippo, and I am now 3 years out of high school. You have been to hell and back with me, but I can't have you be a part of me anymore. You have been you have been nothing but negative, a liar, and a terrible friend. Everything you have told me throughout the past 9 years have been complete lies. You're too fat. You can't eat that. Don't even think about laying down. Go out and exercise. You need to lose weight. You'll get fat if you have that piece of cheesecake. I know this isn't true. Well, now I do. It took me forever to realize what my eating disorder was telling me were lies. I know I won't get fat after eating one piece of cheesecake. I don't need to exercise every moment of every day, and I definitely can eat whatever I want because it is normal to eat. If you don't put gas in the tank, your car won't go the same. And same with our bodies. If you don't fuel your body, you won't have the energy to do things. And it took me forever to believe that. Ed, you are a mean person, and you don't deserve to be a part of me anymore. I need to go and be free like a bird and not under your spell anymore. Ever since I got help, it's been easier for me to push you away. I had to separate myself from you because you were too negative for me. I learned I can live a life without having you around. Nothing about me is going to change without you. Nobody needs you around. I'm glad to say goodbye to you. I will not miss you, and don't ever come back into my life again. Dear Ed, you have taught me how to be a stronger person. You have taught me that I can beat anything, and you have brought 2 wonderful counselors into my life. I now have a different outlook on life, and I will forever be grateful for that. Dear Ed, you will not be missed. And Zoe, it took me forever to realize what my eating disorder was telling me were lies. I used this one technique that was taught to me in counseling, and it helped a lot. So this is you with your Dear Ed letter, and I'm reading this and thinking, Zoe, we can use, like all of us, we can use a similar letter to our own limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Who taught you this?
Well, it was actually an idea from my eating disorder counselors to write a goodbye letter to my eating disorder.
So I'm sure there was so much learning before you got to this point of accepting all of this.
Yeah. I mean, I still do struggle with it some days because, relapses happen, but most of the time I'm pretty good.
This is amazing. Zoe, something happened. You had decided to take your own life.
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story?
Yep. So, August 14th, 2016 was the day that I was going to take my life. I had been planning it for a while, and I was scoping out a place to go take my life for a couple weeks before I actually decided when would be a good time to take my life. And so the day came, and I had everything prepared. I was talking to my best friend, Charlie, and she was very concerned about me. She was also talking to her boyfriend, Chris, and our friend, Hayden. And they were all pretty concerned about me. So what happened was I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just can't take the voices in my head. I can't take the negative comments. I can't take the bullying. I can't do any of this. So then Charlie decided to call 911 for me. And I think it was honestly the best thing she ever did, because she saved my life that day. Had she not called when she called and had the ambulance not showed up when the ambulance showed up, I would not be here today.
Of course, back then you were really mad at her.
Yes, I was.
What was going on through your head?
I had a lot of anger towards her, like, how dare she do this? Like, she doesn't know what's going on in my head and stuff like that. But I came to terms with it. And I'm like, she did it for me. When I talked to Natalie, she actually brought that to my attention, and to say that Charlie called 911 for me and not on me. And I actually had thought about it and came to terms with that she did that. And now Charlie and I are like best friends, and we live together.
Yes, I know that. Isn't that amazing how just a change of a word changes your perspective? Huh, Zoey?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you're dealing and coping now.
Well, I use weed to cope with my problems a lot. But I'm on medication. I use my coping skills, and I'm actually in a medication change right now.
I didn't get that. You're changing your medication?
Yeah, I'm on a medication change right now.
Okay. And so where do you get support from?
I get support from my friends, my family, my doctor, my psychiatrist, and my pet.
Zoey, I totally believe that if we talk about our stories is how we can help each other. And I think you believe the same way. And that's why you go around talking about your story to the youth, right? And try and make them aware.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. There's a lot of parents watching this show.
Okay.
And as a parent, I know that it's really painful to see your own child suffer. So what could parents do? How could they, first of all, what could they do to support their kids who may be going through something? How could they know, actually, if their kids are going through something? How could we help our kids?
Well, I think maybe like before, when they get to say 7, maybe get them a mental health check or something to make sure everything is okay before they hit the teenage years. But if for kids that are going through it right now, I would say just talk to them, be open with them, and if they hurt themselves or do something, don't take it out on them. Don't take your anger or your disappointment out on them, because that will only make them want to do it more. And for people who are struggling with depression or whose kids are struggling with depression and the parents are having a hard time talking to them, well, maybe do some talk to them and try to see what's going on with them, and maybe do some counseling with them, see if that will maybe help your relationship. Depends on your relationship with your kid, right?
Yeah. How was your relationship with your parents when you were going through all of this?
I would say it was rocky. I don't think that they really believed me at first about everything.
So what did you tell them? What did you try to tell them something? Did you try to give them an idea?
I wasn't open with them.
Mm-hmm.
I just try to keep everything inside, and then when the school had took me to the hospital, more or less Miss Bolger, she took me to the hospital one day during school, and that's when it kind of all started.
Why did you have to go to the hospital, Zoey?
Because I was having suicidal ideation, and the school was concerned, so they have sent me a few times in the past, but that's when my parents started noticing like my mental health, was when the school brought it up to their attention.
And then that was the point when your parents knew for the first time what was going on?
Yeah.
And then what happened after that? Did something change?
Well, honestly, in 2016, I moved out of the family home because my parents were constantly fighting, and I just wasn't happy there. So I moved out. I moved in with my ex, and I lived there for a couple of years, but that just turned out to be 10 times worse than where I was living before, because his dad was toxic. And he actually convinced me to drop out of high school, and that jobs were more important and stuff. So, and I can't hold a job. I have a hard time holding a job.
So there's so many questions I want to ask you, Zoey. First of all, Natalie says, yeah, that's a great point. Some parents really don't understand mental illness, and they think that it's acting out. Did your parents think that you were acting out?
Yeah.
And that's a thing. I can see that because that happened in my family too. And so how can we remedy that, Zoey? How can we what's a message to parents that you can give right now? If you could help one person, what would that message be to the parents?
Be open with your kids. Don't hide anything from them. Be open with them 100%, and have a one-on-one bond with them. And just try to create a bond, and if you don't already have that bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would it have made a big difference for you?
I think so. Because my dad and I started bonding after my parents split up. So my dad and I have a stronger bond now than what we did before. And I feel that was ever since like the book of Brainstorm Revolution came out and everything. I felt like we started having a tighter bond, and now it's like stronger than ever. So it is possible to happen.
What can you tell me about when you were going through your eating disorder? Was there any other, I know that depression certainly and suicidal thoughts, was there any other diagnosis?
Borderline personality disorder, psychosis, OCD, and the eating disorder, along with major depressive disorder and anxiety.
What does that mean to you, Zoey, when you hear all those diagnoses? What does it do to you? What's going on in your head when you hear these diagnoses?
Honestly, my first thought is like, I'm like screwed up, but then I sit back at it and I think, no, I'm not, because this is normal, because nobody is perfect, because nobody has 100% working brain. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Like, for the mental health, like, nobody has 100% mental health. Like, everyone struggles, whether it's a relapse or, you know what I mean?
It's true. We all do struggle. And I mean, I think my question is whether having those terms given to the way we feel, to our mental state, is it helpful or is it not? Like, I know I feel the same way as you, that we all struggle somehow. Do we need and I've never really thought about this before, but do we really need to be titled? Do we really need these names, these
No,
diagnoses?
I don't think so. I honestly think it hinders people's recovery if they have more problems, and the psychiatrist or whoever diagnosed them tells them, it's going to make them feel really crappy. So I honestly don't think that they should tell us what we have, but I don't know. That's just me.
So underneath all of it, what does a person need to be feeling to be better?
Well, not necessarily happy, because nobody's happy 24/7.
No.
Just, I don't know, content with yourself, I guess you could say. Just like you feel comfortable and content.
Yes. You say content. How do you do that today, Zoey?
Well, I just kind of sit back and relax most of the time. Okay. And just, I don't know.
So are they days when you still wake up and have those suicidal thoughts?
They more or less come in waves, but they are still there, which is why I needed a medication change.
So what do you do when that happens, Zoey?
Well, I either smoke some weed or I play music and try to drown myself out of it and use my coping mechanisms.
So you smoke weed too. What does it do for you when you smoke weed?
It calms my anxiety and my depression. I don't feel as many suicidal thoughts or anything.
Okay. Do you use any other coping methods?
I use music. That's about it.
Okay. One of the ways that I have been able to help myself has been journaling. Do you ever journal, Zoey?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
When I'm really frustrated, I will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what does it do for you when you journal?
It gets my anger out.
Right?
Yes, and everything like I want to say to that person or about that situation, it's just there, and then you can burn it after or do whatever because all that anger's out, right?
Yes. Yes. The journaling is such a fantastic tool. And you're so right. It's like you're emptying out whatever's in your head, like you empty it out on a piece of paper and then that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see here. Natalie says, great advice. The more open you are about mental health, the more comfortable your children will be to share their emotions. That's about parents, right? It's so important to be comfortable. Yes. Like this is a really important thing, that we need to be open. We need to be comfortable with that. That whole stigma we always talk about, because we're like, oh my gosh, don't ever anybody find out that my kid's going through this trouble, or I'm going through this like depression or whatever. We need to be open with that. We need to realize it's like you said, Zoey, it's normal. Right?
It is.
It's normal. Yeah. We need to be open to that. And so such important. Thank you, Natalie, for that reminder. Ruth says the mental health continuum is fluid. We all go up and down the line. We need the resiliency to get back up to optimal wellness. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Another great mental health advocate. Natalie says, I love how open Zoey is about how medication changes are normal. Zoey, if you want to like comment on any of these comments, let me know, okay?
Okay. Well, I'll comment on the medication change.
Go ahead.
I've had to go through multiple medication changes actually throughout the years, because some of them have made me suicidal. Some of them have made me depressed. Some of them just didn't do anything at all. Made everything just completely whacked. And like, you do have to play around with medications, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, I don't know why there is so much stigma around mental health and medication, because like, some people take like morphine for like breaking their leg or whatever. And then what's wrong with us taking medication for something that's going on in our head?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't understand what the big difference is.
There's no difference.
You know what I mean?
There's no difference, Zoe. When someone has diabetes, they have to take diabetes medication.
Yeah.
Right. And this is sometimes we need that medication for our for that mental health to work properly. So let's see. Natalie says, hang on. I read Natalie's. Ruth says, journaling is awesome. She agrees that she has a lot of experience with that. Ellie, who's Ellie Raffi?
That's my dad.
Oh, is it Eli?
It's Eli, yeah.
Eli Raffi. He says the biggest issue I find is the help or the lack of help that our children receive. They hit a certain age, and I find that many all between the cracks. Oh, many fall between the cracks. Oh my gosh, I agree with you, Eli. What's your take on this, Zoe?
I think a lot of them do fall between the cracks at some point, because people do, like, healthcare workers tend to only go for the younger people that I find, not so much the older people, because when I was in the hospital, they never really did anything for me. But wait, it was the other way around, more for older people, sorry. Because in the hospital, like, they have a C6, so that's the floor for all the adults. No kids are allowed there. So I think that they do cope more around adults than they do kids, because there's more out there for adults. Like, there's psychiatrists and counseling. Not saying that there isn't for younger ones, but yeah, I don't know. I just find that they tend to veer more towards the adults in my recovery journey.
I know that certainly there isn't a lot of funding for this, and I mean of course it's costly, but I remember when my brother was going through his schizophrenia. It was really hard to get him to see a doctor, because first of all, he didn't understand it himself, but he didn't want to admit it, Zoe. So, and there was no way for, as parents, we are limited to what we can get our 16. I think the age is 16, where you can't really force them to see a doctor or seek medication or anything like that. So for a parent, that's really, really difficult. And sometimes kids do move out of the house because they don't want to deal with that. And then as parents, you are left in that hopeless state of how can I help my kid? And I think I totally relate to this, having, your kids fall between the cracks, and it's like nobody cares. That's the feeling, is like no one cares. And that is a really, really desperate place to be. Zoe, Sarah says, are you still in touch with your old friends or not?
Yes, I actually live with Charlie and Chris.
That's the friend who called 911 for you.
Yeah, Charlie.
The reason why you're still with us here today.
Yeah.
God bless those friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Yes, and Ruth has a comment here, and she says you have to, so in her opinion, medications can make it worse. You have to keep persistent with your doctor and keep trying. Yes, to find the right medication that works for you. Natalie says,
Yeah.
Zoey does such a great job of speaking about mental health so confidently. She's a true leader. I agree, Zoey. It takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing and being so honest about it. And so I want to ask you, what does this mean to you? Being here, for example, I asked you, I said, have you ever been interviewed? You said no. So what does this mean to you, Zoey, being here, being able to do this and talk about your journey?
Well, it's honestly a really big honor for me. And I really appreciate being on your show. And I just want to get my message out there to spread it across the world, because it's got to start somewhere, right? Someone's got to start it. So
what is your message, Zoey? What is the clear message you want people to get from this brave action of yours?
Nobody be scared to open up about what you're feeling inside. Open up to a bus driver, open up to a teacher, open up to a friend, open up to anybody. Even if they call the cops, or even if they say go to the hospital, they're looking at what's in your best interest, and you should listen to them. Medication, nothing to be ashamed about, and you should be able to willingly talk about it openly. Same with depression, eating disorders, and everything. Just talk about it openly. I think I said that right.
Yes.
And just act like it's a broken bone. Act like it's normal, because it is.
Yes, so true. And Zoey, when we see someone with a crutch walking down the street, people open the doors for them. You give up your seat on the bus for them. It's so visible, and people want to help people with who are in need of help. But mental health is such it's, you can't see it, right? You can't see it. So how can you help someone if you don't know what they're going through?
Exactly.
So Eli says, I went to pick up Zoey at the hospital and they had released her before I arrived. She was admitted for mental health and was let go without a parent to take her home. Certainly flawed. Yes, we know this is a very flawed system. I feel like yes, the system's flawed, Zoey. It can never be perfect. But as individuals, we need to take personal responsibility and do what we can to bring awareness to this. It's not about fighting. It's not about opposition, and it's not about creating chaos. It's about bringing awareness and saying, let's talk about this. This is real. This is going on. Let's do what we can to make it work better for everybody. And so when people like you, Zoey, go around talking about this, it brings more awareness, and it forces the rest of us to stop and say, yeah, this is real. I feel that too. Let's do something about this. So thank you.
Well, no problem.
So okay, Zoey, tell me what's in plan for you? What do you got planned?
Well, I do want to go back to school. But most importantly, I want to come out with my own book by 2025.
Excellent. Why 2025?
It gives me enough time to work on it.
It's a long time to write a book, girl.
Yeah.
I think you can do better. I think you can do faster. Then you can get on to a second one.
Yeah, that's true.
What will it be about?
My journey.
Okay. Do you have a name yet?
No.
That's always first, Once you got the name, the rest is easy. So, what's your message to someone who's hearing this and is in a very dark moment? How do you give them hope, Zoey?
Just what I honestly would do if I was talking to someone one-on-one, I would try to remind them how loved they are and how cared they are for, or how cared for they are, sorry. And I would just try my best to reassure them that they're perfect and that there's nothing wrong with them and that they can get through it.
How important is hope?
Hope's important.
Yeah. Someone told me hope stands for hang on, pain ends. You like that?
That works.
You can use that if you want. I got permission to use it, so you could use that too. Yeah, hang on, pain ends. So much respect for you, Zoey. I have so much respect for you. I have so much love for you. I appreciate everything that you've been through. It has not been easy. Looking back at everything you went through, why do you think it all happened? Do you ever think of yourself, what's the reason for all of this?
Honestly, I think it had to do with me being a stronger person or trying to be a stronger person. That's why I went through it. And being able to help others, because I love helping people. And the one thing I wanted to do was be a mental health counselor to help people. And I think the book, Brainstorm Revolution, really helped with that.
A lot of people go through stuff. We all do.
Yeah.
We all go through our own struggles in life. And sometimes we can sit in that space of, oh my gosh, I'm so miserable. I'm so unlucky. Nobody loves me. Where's God? Nobody cares about me. And they spend a lot of time there. They spend a lot of their life there in that victimhood.
Yeah.
We all have had that happen to us. So, what's your take on this? Like, what would you say to that? Yeah, like Robert says, it's a pity party. Like, you throw yourself a pity party.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I do it to myself where I drag myself down at times. So, like, it happens. I don't know how to explain it or like how to answer that question.
I think when it has happened to me before, and we all have had a part of our lives that we've been like hit really badly, and like we were in a really low place, in a dark place, and so coming out of that takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of strength, just like you have, right? You've pulled yourself out of that. And so when we look back, and say, oh, this happened to me because my parents were fighting, or this happened to me because my dad abused me, or this happened to me. We can have all these different reasons, but it's important to say, okay, well, that was a part of my journey. That was a part of my story. That was not the entire story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for you, Zoey, when you look back at your life, that was a part of your journey. Your mental illness, your eating disorder, that was all a part of your journey, and it all brought you to this very moment of your life, young woman. And this is the reason why you're here, because had you not gone through all of those things in your life, you would not have had the strength, like you said, to be able to sit here and talk so openly about all of this. And you have no idea your message, the ripple effect of this talk could be immense, and it would reach people who need to hear it. And your story is going to touch lives, and it's gonna make impacts. So Zoey, Rafi, even though your life has been tough, I'm so happy that you went through all of that to be able to be who you are today.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. There's lots of love here in the chats for you. Natalie says, love you, girl. Ruth says, you're right. Talk therapy. Keep spreading your light, Zoey. And Robert says, life is a bitch sometimes. And Lynn says, thank you both. Zoey, you are an amazing mental health advocate, sending tons of hope, light, and love always. And Ruth says, thank you for sharing. Natalie says, so proud of you, Zoey Rafi. Zoey, we have a couple of more minutes. What do you want to finish with?
Well, I actually have this one rock thing that I wanted to share.
Yes, please.
So I had a counselor in high school. His name was Kent, and he gave me this rock. And he was like, rocks go through tides and waves, and they're very, like, rough on the edges and everything. And then once they go through the tides and the waves, they come out really, really smooth. And that's basically what we are. We're in a wave and a tide, and we're just waiting for the tide and the waves to end to come out really smooth. And if that makes sense.
That makes so much sense. So much sense. Yes. Thank you, Zoey. I want to thank you for shining your light on this world and on all of us. So keep writing, right? Keep talking. Zoey's open to interviews, and she's open to speaking engagements. So if you are watching this and you think Zoey would be a great speaker for a certain event, maybe you have something planned, this is the message our youth needs to hear. This message of hope and inspiration. That's what we need to work on spreading. So Zoey is the perfect candidate for that. What do you say, Zoey? Yes to speaking engagements?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And so I want to thank you, Zoey, again for being here. And I'm so glad that we made this happen, even though technology wasn't cooperating there a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
But your message was loud and clear. Thank you so much. And for everyone who's been watching, I also want to thank you for the love, for sticking with us through this, and for the comments. Please spread this inspiration so that we can help as many people as possible, bring awareness, bring hope, because we are all hit with mental health, and it's really important to keep our heads above water, especially during crisis. So, Zoey, is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm just very honored for being here, and thank you again.
You're so welcome, Zoey. It is absolutely my pleasure. I can't wait to talk to you very soon. Once your book comes out, maybe we can do this again.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, sounds good. I'm very happy that you were here. Take care of yourself, my love. And thank you. And to everyone else who's been with us today, thank you. And have a blessed rest of your Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And this has been another Dela's voice, sparking your soul. We'll see you again soon. Bye. Bye, Zoey.
Bye.